Hello, good day. This is Micaela L. Montoya, and today I will discuss my two chosen movement or skills and its bones and muscles involved during the movement. So without further ado, I will firstly begin with the moonwalk dancing. The moonwalk or backslide is a dance move in which the performer glides backwards, but their body action suggests forward motion. If you know the famous Michael Jackson, in the year 1983, he performed the moonwalk on a TV show in which celebrating the music of Motown. After this, the dance became even more popular. The moonwalk dance is a popping move. This is a type of a street dance move that grew from a style called boogaloo. Now moving on to the next. So the stand step that the dancer performs with the body in a straight position that looks like he or she is walking forward but being pulled backward. In terms of the body shape and position, there's an asymmetric shape created by the moonwalk dance move. So when the dancer shifts his weight onto one foot, that foot is raised slightly off the ground and the other foot is flat on the ground. So this creates a diagonal line from the left foot or right foot depending on which foot the dancer starts with. Now up to the torso and arms, which are usually held angularly for contrast. Furthermore, as the dancer glides backward, the arms move in an exaggerated fashion to maintain balance and keep the illusion of forward movement. This creates even more asymmetry and angularity in the dancer's body shape, making it a visually stunning dance move to watch. So the moonwalk dance move is a great example of how dance can use body posture and asymmetrical shapes to create an illusion and movement and momentum. To even understand the moonwalk dance, I will include discussion of its mechanics of phases in executing the dance. So before starting, firstly is you need to know how to position your body correctly by stand with your feet shoulder wide apart and your arms slightly outstretched. This will help you maintain balance and control as you move. So once you have found your starting position, you are ready to begin. Now next is begin by shifting your weight onto your left foot and pushing off with your right. Then slide your right foot back, keeping your toes pointed on your leg straight. As you slide your foot back, shift your weight onto your right foot and push off with your left. Continue this alternating pattern until you have reached your desired distance. So remember, to keep your arms and upper body still throughout the entire move. Then lastly, pay attention to the details of your movement and strive to make them as fluid and graceful as possible. Practice in front of a mirror or ask a friend to watch and give feedback. With enough practice and patience, you will be able to execute the moonwalk like a pro. Next is the major muscles involved during the execution of moonwalk dance. So we have here the quads or the quadriceps. So quadricep muscles include the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and vastus intermedius. So all four muscles work together to extend the knee. Then the rectus femoris also acts to flex the hip, which is the movement necessary to lift your foot off the ground and prevent tripping and falls. The next is hamstring muscle groups, which are the biceps femoris, semitendinous, and semimembranous work together to bend the knee of the leading leg while walking or gliding. Next are the gluteus maximus, works with the hamstrings to extend the hip of the rear leg. Then both of these muscles are worked more intensely when walking or uninclined. So the gluteus medius and the minimus, located deeper in the hip, work to pull the leg sideways away from the body and help control the position of the pelvis. During the walking or the moonwalk, or they glide and have an important role in keeping the pelvis stable when the body weight is on one leg. So during the swing phase, the sartorius iliopsoas, tensor facili latae, pectineus, and abductor longus and brevis are active in controlling the leg. The next is the tibialis anterior muscle is worked intensively while walking to lift the toes. Then next is the gastrocnemius and soleus are responsible for plantar flexion, lifting the heel. They are activated on the rear foot when pushing off the ground. Of course, if there's muscles, then there are also bones that are involved. So these bones are the support while the execution of moonwalk, which includes those of the feet such as the metatarsals, tarsals, and the phalanges bones. The ankle bones, bones in the legs that includes the femur bone, fibula, tibia, and patella, and also the hip bones. Firstly are the tarsals and the metatarsals. So tarsals and metatarsal bones provide stability and support to the foot while executing the dance moves. Then the ankle needs to be flexible so that the foot can glide smoothly backwards while performing the moonwalk dance. Next is the phalanges. The phalanges support the toes and allow the dancers to grip the ground while performing the dance moves. Next is the ankle bones. The bones composed of the tibia, fibula, and talus that plays a crucial role in the moonwalk dance. The tibia and fibula provide stability to the ankle, while the talus bone helps to transfer the weight from the foot to the leg and back again. Next is the femur bone. So the femur is one of the strongest bone in the human body and connects to the hip bone to the knee bone. So this provides the necessary support to the leg executing the dance moves. Next is the patella. So the patella bone is commonly known as the kneecap bone. So it serves to protect the knee joint and acts as mechanical bearing for the quadricep muscles. And lastly, we have here the hip bones. The hip bones provide stability to the body while performing the moonwalk dance. The pelvis, composed of the hips bones, move forward and backward to allow a smooth gliding movement of the feet. So overall, these bones work together to provide the necessary support and range of motion to execute the moonwalk dance with precision and ease. Next is when performing the moonwalk dance, the sagittal plane movement of flexion, dorsiflexion, extension, and plantar flexion each play a role. So firstly, in flexion. So during the gliding steps of the moonwalk dance, the performer flexes the ankle joint of the back foot or the foot gliding behind to allow the toes to remain in contact with the ground. This flexion helps to create a smooth gliding motion as the performer transfers with weight to the front foot. Then the dorsiflexion, as the performer shifts their weight back onto the back foot during the push-off step, they dorsiflex the ankle joint, lifting the toes off the ground. So this helps to create a smooth transition as the performer glides their back foot forward again. The next is the extension. During the forward step of the moonwalk dance, the performer extends their ankle joint, pushing off with the foot to transfer their weight to the front foot. This extension helps to create momentum for the gliding motion of the back foot. Then lastly is the plantar flexion. So as the performer glides their back foot forward is preparation for the next push-off step. So they plantar flex the ankle joint, lowering the heel to the ground. This plantar flexion helps to prepare the foot for the next push-off, as well as maintaining balance while the performer is transitioning their weight to the front foot. Overall, the combination of the sagittal plane movement allows the moonwalk dancer to create an illusion of gliding backwards while still moving forward. Now let's move on to the anatomical and movement analysis of sprinting. So sprint is an athletic track event in which involves running over a short fixed distance in the quickest time possible. However, the term sprint is used in many sports that encourage quickly reaching a target, a goal. So in running, high speed over distance has been one of the human stories as humans hunted prey and competed with each other for resources. However, next is the body shape and position of sprinting. So in the ready position in sprinting, the body is in a curving shape, which shows that the athlete is in a relaxed position and preparing for the signal. Then in the set position, it is generally understood that the hips should rise above of the line of the head, readying the body of an athlete to accelerate. Then the straight and asymmetrical position of the body in the sprinting. So in the acceleration phase, the body leans forward and the legs are in gait cycle for running fast. Then same in the arms, performing a swing motion. After in acceleration, the position of the body changes and it becomes upright and straight, enabling to control the athlete deceleration or slowing down to stop. And now let's move on to the mechanics of races and execution in sprinting. So we have here the start phase. It first starts out in a 4-point stance position. when all four of your limbs are making contact with the ground. So with feet against the starting blocks, your legs will be in an offset position, and your center of gravity should be geared towards your leading leg. Your arms should be shoulder wide apart, and both the head and spine should be in straight alignment to ensure sufficient stability and power transfer as you propel yourself forward. Then, after sa start phase, diha na dayon ang acceleration phase, or also called as the transition phase of your sprint. So, the point of the acceleration is when your body shifts from running with horizontal forces to primarily vertical forces. This phase happens extremely quickly in real time, and adhering to proper form is imperative for your body to maximize its force generation as you move from a crouched stationary position to an upright sprint. Then after the acceleration phase is diha na dayon ang drive phase. So once you move past the initial acceleration phase, you transition into the straight phase of your sprint, where you begin to run in a more upright position. Here, your head starts to raise up, and your spine elongates and straightens out. And also, your eyes are locked onto the end of your sprinting line. Then lastly is the deceleration. This is typically the point in sprint where athletes run low on power and have to work harder to stave off any fatigue or factors that may cause to slow down. So, mauna na siya ang stage where the athlete is preparing to slow down. So, that is all in mechanics of phases and sprinting. And now, next is the major muscles that involves during sprinting. So, we have here in phase 1, in the quadriceps, they are the large muscles in front of our thighs. It launch our step forward. They also propel a big stride, which makes us faster and helps strengthen our running muscles. The next are the hamstrings. So they are located on the back of our thighs. Hamstrings are the force behind pushing our leg off the ground, keeping our knee from collapsing when the foot hits the ground. And lastly is the calves. So it spring your stride upward and forward as you transition your gait cycle. So those are the major muscles involved during the phase 1. Next is the phase 2. So in phase 2, we have here the calves, tibialis, and tibialis anterior. So the calves muscle that runs down the front shin, and the tibialis anterior moves to the left heels up to the ground during the swing phase and shift our body weight on toes to propel forward. So next are the hip flexors, iliopsoas, piscius majors, iliacus, rectus femoris. So they are located in front of our hip. They are responsible for pushing off as they flex and extend. Then they are also control the knee flexion and stabilize the spine and pelvis throughout the gait cycle. The next are the latissimus dorsi, deltoid, trapezius, which helps to drive forward during the swing phase, building a momentum and prevents hunch posture during sprinting. So that is the major muscles involved in phase 2. And next is in phase 3. So we have here the gluteus maximus hamstring. So they work together to explosively extend your hip joints as you drive your foot into the ground to propel yourself forward. So the gluteus maximus is the largest muscle in the body, and it's located on your buttocks area. So originating at the back of your pelvis and then inserting at the top of your femur bone. The next is the gastrocnemius and soleus. So the gastrocnemius and soleus make up your collection of calf muscle located at the back of your lower leg. So muna siya mga bagtak na part. So together, they plantar flex or straighten your ankle joint. So as you push yourself off the ground during the sprinting, your calves contract to strengthen your ankle and assist of propelling you forward. Then lastly are the quads, rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, vastus intermedius. So mao ni siya ang parts sa quads or the quadriceps. So it consists 4 different muscles. So mao ni sila, just like I said, they are responsible for the knee extension and straightening your knee joint just as you strike the ground. So that is in the phase 3, and now let's move on to the phase 4. Now in phase 4, we have also here the hamstring. They are also controlling the slowdown of the leg when we are about to stop. Typically, hamstrings are involved in the beginning and at the very end of every step when we run. So that is why naa siya ang hamstring sa phase 1 hantod sa phase 4. The next is nasa ang quads. So the quads has the power that we need when running. So it also has the strength from stopping or slowing down during the run. Then lastly is the Achilles tendon and calves. So the Achilles tendon joins the calf muscle to the heels lift heel of the ground, and also every step to stabilizing the run. So that is all in the mechanics in the major muscles involved during the sprinting. So As usual, we also have here the bones that involved during sprinting. So the major muscles that are used while running are the femur bone, tibia, fibula, spine, and the bones of the pelvic girdle. So as your feet connect with the ground, your legs are moving on several fronts. At your ankles, your knees, and your hip sockets. All these activity engages three leg bones in particular. So your thigh bone or femur bone and your lower leg bones, the tibula and the fibula. Moving the foot will affect moving the lower leg, while the knee is where your lower and upper leg meet, and your upper leg influences your hips. In this last slide, I also choose the another sagittal plane in this movement because because in sprinting in sagittal plane, one of the three planes of motions in our body, it divides the body into right and left section. In sprinting, the sagittal plane motion plays a vital role in determining the direction and speed of running motion. Here is a breakdown of the role in sagittal plane motion in the various movements during sprinting. So firstly, we have here another flexion. No? So flexion in the sagittal plane involves the bending of joints such as the hip or knee. So during in sprinting, as the foot lands on the ground, the hip and knee joints flex to absorb the shock and prepare for the next stride. So mao siya ang flexion. Okay, next is the extension in the sagittal planes. So it involves the strengthening of joints such as the hip or knee. Now during in sprinting, as the foot leaves the ground, the hip and the knee joints extend to propel the body forward. And the next is the dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion in the sagittal planes involves the upward movement of the foot towards the shin. During sprinting, dorsiflexion occurs when the front foot swings forward and the toes are pulled up towards the shin to prepare for the next stride. Then lastly is the plantar flexion. Plantar flexion in sagittal planes involves the downward movement of the foot away from the shin. And during in sprinting, plantar flexion is an essential part of the push-off phase and happens when the foot leaves the ground and the calf muscles contract to propel the body forward. So in summary, sagittal plane motion in sprinting is crucial in maintaining balance and coordination during movement. The proper flexion, extension, dorsiflexion, and plantar flexion of joints plays an integral role in speed and efficiency of the running streak. So that this ends my presentation. Thank you all for listening.